Hey everybody, this is Myth for Myth Writes. Today's a special day. I'm going to read you a story. I'm not the best reader, but it should be bearable. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider buying my books or donating to the podcast, which is what keeps us going. Now, without further ado, Warmage. Warmage, Grayden's Hope, by K.W. Leone. For those who need it, I did too. Acknowledgement. Many thanks to Alexander Weinstein, Sequoia Nagamatsu, and Martha's Vineyard School of Creative Writing. My time with you lit a fire that has kept burning no matter the circumstance. I also thank my tireless editor Mia, who's read this story 1,000 times at least, and now harbors a stack of paper copy revisions that serves as an end table. Then there's the matter of you, my reader. I cherished you, I hear you, and I see you. Every writer tells the story they needed to hear when they were young. But this tale is for you just as much as it is for me. I hope you grow to love Antaeus as much as I do, and that you find a home away from home, imperfect though it may be. Chapter 1. They needed to stop giving him dragons. Or more aptly, he needed to stop feeling sorry for them when they overdid it on the battlefield, got sick, then needed to be looked after. He had no idea what he'd been thinking when he'd insisted they leave the damn thing with him. He supposed he hadn't, which was a glaring flaw of his. Then again, maybe it was because the beast looked so very human now. Sympathy could get a man killed, and sympathy was what Grayden was flirting with. "Is everything all right, Archmage?" a raspy voice asked beyond the flap of his tent. He knew that voice. She smoked almost as much as he did, and it showed. "Grayden, Lieutenant. Just Grayden is fine." "Sir, we've been over this. And I'll remind you that while I'm leading this division, Grayden will do." Archmage feels stuffy. Grayden could hear the creaking of snow as his visitor shifted uncomfortably from foot to foot in the cold. Carson, Carlston, Sarah at any rate. He was shit at remembering surnames, but she was his lieutenant. Sarah always carried a decent lighter, had short black hair, and dark brown eyes that were as quick as the flick of a cat's tail. She didn't miss a damn thing unless she intended to, and it really bothered her that he wasn't big on formality. Good. Archmage. "Grayden." "Grayden, fine. Fine. Are you all right?" "Yes, fine." "You don't sound like it, but I see you managed." He calmed down before they dragged him over, Lieutenant. "Do you think I crammed him in here in his draconic form?" Grayden looked down to the floor of his tent, seeing what Sarah couldn't, because he was still refusing to open the tent flap. The boy was almost charming, if not a little pitiful, and not at all like what his lieutenant had been hoping to catch a glimpse of. Dragons could shapeshift into a humanoid form, and what lay curled on its side, long blonde hair tangled by wind and reeking of hot arcana, appeared to be an exhausted young man. Grayden knew better. The moment of silence outside the tent dragged, letting the Archmage know that an enormous dragon was exactly what Sarah had thought she would find. She had made her way over after her inspection of the armored division, probably out of morbid curiosity. Duty. Whichever. Both. Honestly, he couldn't blame her after everything that had happened to the Fifth today. He too would have paid good gold to see an entire dragon shoved into, or under, the command tent. "You're not going to leave me alone, are you?" "I will as long as you're all right, sir." "I am." Grayden could hear the protest of her leather breastplate as she held back a sigh, and he bit his lip to keep from snickering. "That doesn't sound like leaving, Lieutenant." He remembered her name. He remembered everything about her, but this was something he could do to exasperate her, so he did. Not because he disliked her, quite the opposite. He liked her more than most, so he had to tease her a little. The fact that he had her halfway believing him was a private sport of his. "You really don't remember my name, do you?" "Nope." "Fine," she huffed. "That doesn't sound fine to me, Sarah." There was no retort to that, only the resigned groan of footsteps retreating into the snowy distance, and then Grayden was alone again with his strange rescue. The boy snuffled in his sleep, and Grayden winced. Gods, he hoped this was arcane exhaustion, and the creature wasn't contagious. Dragons didn't normally get sick, at least not with human maladies, but knowing his luck, this would be the first incident. Who knew what the angelic engineered into their arcane technology? Thanks for the listen. I hope you enjoyed the chapter, my horrible reading aside, and that you stay tuned for more to come. If you check the info on this video, you can find a link where you can purchase my books and support this podcast. Once again, thanks everyone, and remember, creativity counts and representation matters. This is Myth, signing off.